Imagine being the most brilliant mind in the room. You've worked harder than everyone else, your ideas are flawless, and you decide to show your boss exactly what you're capable of to earn their respect. But instead of a promotion, you get sidelined, quietly replaced, fired. What went wrong? You committed the ultimate structural sin of human hierarchy. You broke law number one of the laws of power. Never outshine the master. To understand why human psychology operates this way, we have to travel back to France, August 1661. Nicolas Fouquet was the finance minister for the young King Louis XIV. Fouquet was brilliant, generous, and loved luxury. When the prime minister died, Fouquet expected to take his place. Instead, the king abolished the position. Sensing he was losing his grip on the king's favor, Fouquet decided to play his ultimate card. He would throw the most magnificent party Europe had ever seen at his newly completed chateau, Vaux-le-Vicomte. The party was an architectural marvel. Beautiful plays debuted, fireworks lit up the night sky, and guests were served seven-course meals on solid gold plates. Fouquet's goal was clear: show the king that he was an invaluable, cultured, and incredibly capable ally. He thought he was paying tribute. But the next morning, the king didn't thank Fouquet. He felt insulted. By throwing a party grander than anything the royal court could afford, Fouquet had accidentally highlighted the king's own lack of funds and lack of sophistication. Fouquet made the king feel small in front of his own subjects. 3 weeks later, the king had Fouquet arrested by the musketeers. Fouquet spent the remaining 20 years of his life locked away in a solitary fortress dungeon. Fouquet didn't lose his freedom because he was incompetent. He lost it because he was too good. The psychology of why it works. Let's break down the deep psychological engine behind this law. What we are tapping into here is a fundamental flaw in human nature: insecurity. When you are in a position of authority, you want to believe you deserve to be there. When a subordinate displays too much effortless genius, it triggers a primitive survival response in the leader's brain. They think, are they trying to replace me? Do they think I'm stupid? A threatened master will always find a way to eliminate the threat, hiding their envy behind professional excuses like poor cultural fit or restructuring. This law is highly effective in traditional, rigid hierarchies. Think of corporate structures, government agencies, academia, or highly bureaucratic organizations where status is tied strictly to seniority. In these environments, protecting the boss's ego is more important than your actual output. But this law is not absolute, and this is where the cynical worldview shows its limitations. This law fails miserably in fast-moving, hyper-competitive environments like tech startups or crisis management. If a company is burning cash and facing bankruptcy, an insecure boss who silences brilliant ideas just to save face will end up ruling over a sinking ship. In a true meritocracy or an emergency, a master wants to be outshone if it means survival. Modern-day relevance. So, let's bring this into our modern world. How does a law written about 17th century kings apply to our life today? Human envy is timeless, but what has changed is the nature of the master. In our current landscape, the master isn't just your manager. In corporate life, it's the senior vice president who subtly steals your ideas because you didn't give them away to claim partial credit. On social media, it's the algorithmic audience. If you act smarter than your community or preach down to them, they will humble you instantly. And then there is the rise of AI. This is the ultimate modern twist. Employees who openly brag about using artificial intelligence to automate 90% of their workload are breaking Law 1. They outshine the operational system of the company, signaling to management that their entire department can be downsized. The smart, modern professional uses tools to supercharge their output, but presents the results with human modesty. Key lessons. My honest take, this law can feel deeply depressing. It tells you to suppress your genius, dim your light, and play dumb just to appease someone else's fragile ego. It feels like a betrayal of self-improvement. But looking at this objectively, the law isn't telling you to be incompetent, it's telling you to be strategically humble. It's about emotional intelligence. If you genuinely want your ideas to change the world, you have to survive long enough to implement them. Fighting your boss's ego is a battle you will lose 9 times out of 10, simply due to structural leverage. Here are the 3 immediate actionable lessons to implement this law without losing your soul. Lesson 1. The discrete credit strategy. When presenting a groundbreaking idea, frame it as a natural extension of something your boss or company previously established. Use phrases like, "Building on your point from last week, I developed this framework." Lesson 2. Make your mastery look effortful, not easy. If you make a highly complex task look incredibly easy, people assume anyone could do it, or that you're showing off. Acknowledge the difficulty, share the struggle, and make your master feel like their guidance helped you cross the finish line. Lesson 3. Assess your environment. If you find yourself in an organization where you constantly have to play dumb just to keep your job, recognize that you are in a stagnant pond. Use this law to survive in the short term while quietly building your exit strategy to move to a merit-driven ecosystem. If we evaluate this concept on its ability to accurately predict human behavior, it deserves a solid 8.5 out of 10. It is a ruthless mirror of human nature. Read it if you work in corporate offices, highly bureaucratic systems, or find your career stalled despite great performance. Avoid it if you are looking for a moral framework or an ethical guide on how the world should operate. Let's leave you with a final challenge to ponder tonight. Think about your current professional or personal circle. Are you being held back because you aren't doing enough? Or are you being held back because your excellence is making someone above you uncomfortable? Power is not just about strength, it's about control. And sometimes the ultimate power move is letting someone else think they are the ones in control. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe to decode law number 2 in our next deep dive and leave a comment below. Have you ever accidentally outshone a master? See you in the next video.